हेलो हाय वेलकम बैक टू अनदर वीडियो। वेलकम बैक टू माय सेकंड चैनल। आज फिर से हम देखने लगे हैं एक नई किस्म की वीडियो। हाहा, आपको लगा कि मैं वही पुरानी वीडियो देखूंगा? नहीं, आज मैं एक नई तरह की वीडियो देखूंगा जिसका नाम है टॉप 10 स्केरी इन्वेंशंस इन हिस्ट्री दैट शुड बी फॉरगॉटन। वो 10 खौफनाक इन्वेंशंस पिछले वक्तों की जिनको भूल जाने में हमारी भलाई है। यस, मैंने बोल दिया। एंड लेट्स गो।
When it comes to, I don't know, inventing things that we use on a daily basis. But what about the things they invented that maybe they shouldn't have? Today we are going to be talking about our top 10 list of scary inventions in history that should be forgotten. Starting off this countdown, we have the gas-resistant stroller. When you go out for a walk with the little guys right now, you might throw them in a stroller. It's probably the easiest way to get from A to B without having to wait for the little kids to catch up.
Yep.
They always want to stop and pick up a rock that's smooth. Like, what is it with smooth rocks that seem so cool? Anyways, back in the day when there was a concern about chemical attacks, a gas-resistant stroller was made. The gas-resistant stroller was what looks like a metal coffin on wheels.
इसके अंदर बच्चों को डालते थे।
When mustard gas wasn't yet a war crime. It would pair nicely with a gas mask that your mom could wear as she pushed you through the streets. Honestly, it's pretty terrifying, not gonna lie. I'm glad that this isn't a thing anymore. Coming in at number 9, the Fliz. You know that one of the safest parts about riding a bike is the fact that you can get into any sort of accident and you're not attached to it. You can kind of just fly off and jump off before you land in a mud puddle or scrape your knee or whatever. Another great part of a bike is that it has pedals and gears so you can move much faster than if you were running or walking, which is kind of the idea. What on earth is a Fliz? This thing is what happens.
ये क्या है?
You mix a jolly jumper with a bike and are willing to look embarrassing for everyone to see.
ओ नहीं यार।
This is a bike with no pedals, so you have to push with your feet like a flip.
No.
Now this obviously sucks because you wouldn't really be able to move very fast at all. They
इसको
also built a harness
इसको कौन चलाता होगा?
in there like you're some sort of baby Bjorn. Usually when
ना भाई, I'm good.
We're
good.
In our 8th spot we have bat bombs. Yeah, not bath bombs, bat bombs.
Bat bombs?
This next one is not only terrifying,
चमगादड़ों के
but
साथ
also
बम?
deadly. When it comes to warfare, people can get pretty inventive. Imagine you're stalking past enemy lines in the dead of night when all of a sudden a web-winged furry creature swoops in and drops a bomb right at your feet.
ना करो यार।
A weapon developed in World War II, and they are exactly as they sound. It was a bat.
ये कैसे हो सकता है?
Bomb attached
नहीं,
to it.
ये
This
कैसे?
would detonate on or near enemies. The plan was developed and submitted by Lytle S. Adams, a dentist from Irwin, Pennsylvania. He presented his idea to the White House just 2 months after the attack on Pearl Harbor.
तो चमगादड़ को कैसे पता चला कि किधर जाके गिराना है?
The doc assembled an oddball team, including pilot turned actor, an ex-gangster, and an ex-hotel manager. The project was disbanded in 1943 because it was surpassed by a deadlier project. Stay tuned for that one later on in the list. Coming in number 7, we have the Urban Baby
अजीब
Window
लोग यार।
Cage. I can definitely see how
Urban
this
window?
is appealing. Like, you want to make sure your baby gets a lot of fresh air, but you don't have time to take them for a walk when they're young. The Urban Window Baby Cage was basically a chain link cage with a pillow inside of it, so you could just plop your baby inside and go, look, a bird, Jimmy. Apparently everyone back then would have been totally fine with Michael Jackson dangling his baby outside his window because that's what they all did, apparently. The purpose of this contraption was so that your baby could get a little fresh air because you don't want your baby to get all stuffy in your New York
जंगले में बंद किया हुआ है बेचारों को।
and this was in a time when elevators were both scarce and the chance of them killing you was much higher. Think Tower of Terror, but real life. So walking a potentially very chubby baby up and down 30 flights of stairs doesn't seem very fun. It's just hanging him outside a window so you can feel the sun in his face.
मुझे नहीं समझ आ रही है अच्छा है कि बुरा है। देखने में बहुत बुरा लग रहा है लेकिन क्या पता है। Big brain idea.
You can just throw them in the cage for a time out. You know? That's this is why we should forget this.
मेरे ख्याल से बुरा है। हाँ बुरा है। केज में नहीं डालना चाहिए बच्चों को। सॉरी यार। I'm sorry गलती होगी मेरे। नहीं डालना चाहिए बच्चों को केज में।
We have the hydrogen blimps. Hydrogen blimps are labeled as one of the worst inventions of all time. Basically, it was like a big balloon in the sky. It would be pushed by propellers, and guess what they would put into the balloon to make it float? Hydrogen. Hydrogen was cheaper and more readily available, so they used it. Just there's one tiny issue with that. It was highly flammable. But they would pile people into this blimp that was fueled by hydrogen. Sadly, they would explode. In 1937, the Hindenburg, a German airship, caught fire and crashed in 36 seconds. It was very sad and very disastrous. But that wasn't even the first time that one exploded. Just after the Hindenburg, that's when people were like, hey, maybe this isn't safe. Coming in at number 5, we have plastic. I acknowledge that plastic helped us get this far. It has been an important part of our development as a species. But just like when a young adult who has to shed their trauma that made them funny, but keep the funny, it's time for us to move on. Thing that is choking our planet. Like if you go outside right now and get a box of tea, the tea will come in a box that is wrapped in plastic. The box is already a container for the tea. Why are we double wrapping?
अच्छा ये तो एक मेन इशू है ना.
Shelf life, but maybe we shouldn't be keeping things on shelves that long. Maybe, I don't know. We should seek out
प्लास्टिक तो बुरी है, ये तो पता है सबको.
It doesn't have as many preservatives. Thus, it would be stupid to wrap it in plastic. Just wrap it in paper or pour it into my hands. I don't know. Just do it. Or have no packaging and everyone just goes to bulk barns and puts it in glass jars and everything like that. I think that's a pretty good idea, but you know, who knows? The plastic, it lasts
It's bad.
too long.
Plastic is bad.
In our 4th spot, we have the Brazen Bull. This
Brazen
is
Bull?
one of history's
Brazen
most
Bull?
horrific inventions.
ये क्या हुआ?
The Brazen Bull was a torture device used in ancient
Torture
Greece
device.
around 560 BC. A seaside colony called Ocrigus was ruled over by a man named Phalaris. This device was commissioned for him. He wanted to turn torture into music. His court
क्या मतलब?
created this unique nightmarish piece. It was a hollow sculpture of a bull with bells and whistles attached, and there was enough room for the victim to be placed inside of it.
Oh my god. Oh my god. ये इस तरह करते थे उनके साथ. अच्छा ये बंदे को अंदर लिटा के पकाते थे और जो उसकी चीखें होती थी ना वो कन्वर्ट होकर सीटियां बन जाती थी, इसीलिए वो म्यूजिक जैसी आवाज आती थी. दिस इज सो बैड यार. कितने पागल लोग होते थे यार. साइकोपाथ था जो भी था जिसने बनाया है. क्या बनेगा इंसानियत का.
Over a roaring fire, and instead of screams, it was designed to sound like the grunts of a bull. Now some say this invention was a myth, but famed poet Cicero states that in fact the bull did exist and was used. This remains one of the most evil inventions in history.
This is so bad,
yeah.
yeah.
We have the Trico system. There are plenty of ways to get rid of hair in places you don't want them to be. There's waxing, shaving, electrolysis. But this one invention deserves to be mentioned just one more time before we let history completely forget it. Never do this again. The Trico system was a hair removal device that became a must-have in every salon in the 1920s. Yes, it would remove all the hair, but soon men and women would develop cancerous ulcers, carcinoma, and death. The reason? They were using X-ray technology, which is, as we know, radioactive. It would be administered to the skin for a few minutes and require anywhere between 15 to 20 treatments to be effective. X-ray technology was used for a variety of skin treatments around the time and even in the late 1800s, like for ringworm and eczema. But when the Trico machine was released, however, there was no mention of what the technology they were using was. They were just like, the Trico miracle. And administering it wasn't well qualified and didn't know what it was. They just were like, let's switch, and it works.
ये गलती थी लोगों की. उनको पहले तहकीकात करनी चाहिए थी यूज करने से पहले लोगों को.
We have Agent Orange. This next one we're going to talk about should kind of be remembered so that no one ever does anything so awful ever again. Agent Orange was a pesticide that was responsible for 400,000 fatalities, disabilities, and 500,000 birth defects. It was invented by biologist Arthur Galston.
बायोलॉजिस्ट यार ये हमेशा साइंटिस्ट होते हैं यार. ये गंदी चीजें बनाते हैं. देखो उसको पागल लग रहा है देखने से.
But in large doses, it actually destroyed crops, and the U.S. decided to take this technology and abuse it. During the War of Vietnam, they sprayed the land, and 4.5 million acres of crops in Vietnam were destroyed by
ये क्या यार ये साइंटिस्ट को बंदा क्या बोले यार. अच्छी भली दुनिया को खराब कर रहे हैं. जो अपने दिमाग को सही तरह इस्तेमाल करते हैं ना उनका दिमाग होना चाहिए था, है ना. ये पागल साइंटिस्ट इनका दिमाग ही ना होता. ये मैंने चबल मार दिया यार. इग्नोर करो. सॉरी.
And any exposure the Vietnamese and U.S., Australia Australian and New Zealand soldiers had to this pesticide came with deadly consequences. It caused an abnormal amount of miscarriages, extreme birth defects, cancer, and skin conditions. Some of the land still can't even be used to this day. It's very tragic and scary. Coming in at number 1, we have the atom bomb. If the name Robert
Atom bomb.
Oppenheimer doesn't ring any bells, maybe this will. Coming in at number 1, we have the atomic bomb.
इसका बंदा क्या बोले
There
यार?
it is. Robert Oppenheimer invented the atomic bomb, and the first one that successfully detonated created a mushroom cloud 40,000 feet high. What people do
Fuck
is
you,
use
fuck you.
and open doors for even more deadly weapons. This led to one of the most terrifying
वो देखो।
standoffs in history during the
उफ
1960s
अल्लाह।
called the Cuban Missile Crisis. The USA and Soviet Russia were caught in a standoff, both with nukes pointing at each other, waiting for the other to press the big red button.
उफ अच्छा।
Thankfully, neither did, but many countries have
ये कब हुआ?
nukes in their arsenal, ready to strike whenever they want, and they're also still used in a lot of battles and war today. Considering how much damage was done to Nagasaki and Hiroshima due to the detonations of Fat Man and Little Boy in 1945, oh man, I hope that day never comes, and they just get rid of them. Like, no country should just have them.
सही कह रही है, बस एक ऐसा इरेज का बटन हो ना कि हम दुबई और पूरी दुनिया से एटम बम बस खत्म हो जाए, गायब हो जाए और लोगों के दिमाग से मेमोरी भी निकल जाए, बस सब कुछ पीसफुल हो जाए, लेकिन ऐसा हो नहीं सकता, हम सबको पता है।
Albert Einstein was the man who prompted the USA to invent the atom bomb in order
अच्छा?
to combat the Germans in World War II.
इसने कहा था?
He believed the Germans
सॉरी आइंस्टाइन, आपकी जो भी खिदमात है इस दुनिया के लिए हम उसको रिजेक्ट करते हैं, क्योंकि आपने एटम बम का आइडिया दिया था जो कि हमें पसंद नहीं है और आपको इसकी सजा मिलेगी क़यामत वाले दिन। ओके, फक ऑफ।
He immediately regretted his decision, which is why the atomic bomb makes our list of inventions we should all forget.
अच्छा ठीक है, आई एम सॉरी आइंस्टाइन, ये उन्होंने लेट बताया था यार, मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ यार, मेरी गलती नहीं है, मैं अपनी सब बातें वापस लेता हूँ। शुक्रिया आपने जो भी इंसानियत के लिए किया और आपने जो उनको बोला कि ये ना बनाओ, हम आपको खराजी तकसीम होता है ना, जो भी होता है वो पेश करते हैं, माफ़ी भी मांगते हैं, हम सब मिलजुल के माफ़ी मांगते हैं, हमसे गलती हो गई है, हमें आपको ये सब नहीं कहना चाहिए था। थैंक यू आइंस्टाइन, थैंक यू।
Alright guys, that's all for today's video.
ये थी वीडियो, आपने भी देखा, मैंने भी देखा कि इंसान किस तरह इस दुनिया को तबाह कर रहे हैं। इंसानों के अंदर बिल्कुल भी अकल नहीं होती, थोड़े बहुत होते हैं जिनके अंदर होती है, जिनको वो सही तरह इस्तेमाल करते हैं, बाकी अपनी अकल का गलत इस्तेमाल करते हैं, जो कि उन्हें नहीं करना चाहिए। आई होप यू लाइक दिस वीडियो, आई विल सी यू नेक्स्ट टाइम विद समथिंग न्यू। बाय बाय।